It's going to be a full slate tonight. That's because Steph Curry and the Warriors, they face the Heat, who are coming off that double overtime loss in Sacramento. In his 23 career games against Miami, Steph Curry has averaged over 24 points a game, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds. And this time, the Heat will, of course, be without Jimmy Butler. So no Jimmy in Chase Center, but our senior writer for Anscape, Mark Spears, will be in Chase Center. So, Mark, I have to ask, since these two teams are matching up, what are the chances, since Jimmy Butler did have reportedly Golden State on his list, that we could see Jimmy end up with the Golden State Warriors?
Well, I'm hearing that the Warriors literally want to go bigger than Jimmy Butler. And what I mean by that, they're one of the most undersized teams in the league. So they're trying to get a big guy to go alongside Draymond Green. So people on their list include Nikola Vucevic, who's probably been maybe the top guy on that list. He can shoot threes, playing the inside. He makes $20 million as opposed to the 48 Jimmy makes. Keep an eye on some guys like Walker Kessler and John Collins of the Jazz. Also, Jonas Valanciunas of the Wizards. Nurkic, can't see him and Draymond playing together. Maybe a bigger wish is Miles Turner will be an unrestricted free agent. But the Warriors do not want to trade Kuminga, do not want to trade Wiggins. Probably sounds a little easier said than done. I do wonder if they're going to dangle Schroeder's contract. But right now, the Warriors seem much more interested in adding a big to go alongside Draymond Green in this team than another shooting guard.
So, as you can see, it does seem that when it comes to Jimmy Butler going to the Golden State Warriors, yes, there has been rumor whether he is going or not, but I think a lot of NBA fans in general, and especially Warriors fans, are looking to change things up and may look to go somewhere else. Now, there have been a lot of names floating around, but a name that has definitely been in the books is none other than getting Bradley Beal, as the Phoenix Suns are actually completely done with Bradley Beal and are looking to trade him for another big asset. So I think Bradley Beal could also be a great asset, and this is what ESPN had to say about that.
Bradley Beal made the most of an unfamiliar role Monday, scoring 25 points in his first game off the bench in 9 years. Beal's move to the bench sparked rumors that the guard could be on the trade block, though no trade clause in his contract means he'd have to sign off on any deal. Coach Budenholzer also moved Yusuf Nurkic to a reserve role. So a lot happening there in Phoenix. Wendy back here with us. Wendy, how did the Suns save their season?
Well, Melly, let me put those rumors about Beal to rest. They absolutely are trying to trade Bradley Beal. And one of the cardinal rules of sports, certainly in basketball, but across the board, is you never devalue your players, your assets. You never do anything bad to make them seem less valuable, especially when you are about to trade them. So they put him on the bench. Now you may say, why would you do that? If you're trying to trade a player, why would you put him on the bench? And that's because, guys, this situation is bleeped. And the reason it's bleeped is because the way they trade Bradley Beal is because he's got one of two no-trade clauses in the NBA. One is LeBron James, one is Bradley Beal. The only way they can trade him is if he says, I'm okay to be traded. So instead of trying to build him up, they have to violate the cardinal rule and put him on the bench. Now, I know that there were schematic reasons why they did it, and Mike Budenholzer tried to explain, but they're basically trying to make him feel unwelcome in Phoenix so that he will waive that no-trade clause. The player they want to trade him for is Jimmy Butler, but the Heat don't want Bradley Beal. So the only way for the Suns to get Jimmy Butler is to find a third team that not only would take Bradley Beal, because he's got 2 years and $100 million and is playing so poorly that they've got him coming off the bench, and then that team that would maybe take him has to take him where Beal would waive the no-trade clause. And all of this doesn't even take into account that Kevin Durant has 1 year left on his contract. And if they can't thread that needle, then you have to start worrying about that on the horizon.
Can we be honest about something? Nobody gives a flying frog's fat you-know-what about the Phoenix Suns. We don't care. The fact of the matter is, when you look at the Phoenix Suns, we know that Devin Booker's a stud, and he appears to be a life in Phoenix. They love him dearly. He's the prodigal son. That they got a superstar in Kevin Durant, who is a superstar, and they got a guy in Bradley Beal that they don't want, and most other teams wouldn't want because they don't want to pay him the number that comes associated with him. And it's not just because of what they believe to be his absence of production, is because I think Bradley Beal can play. The problem is he's been perpetually injured, and he hasn't really played in too many meaningful games in Phoenix Suns history. Now, if you guys would remember, far be it for me to bring this up, but I was called the clown by Mr. Kevin Durant, if you recall, early in November, because I had the temerity, the unmitigated gall to point to his leadership as lacking. Because I said when you look at his greatness, his unquestioned greatness, his future Hall of Fame greatness, the two-time champion, two-time NBA Finals MVP greatness, I said one of the things that has been an impediment is that he, as a leader, was somewhat lacking. We know he didn't have to be that in Golden State. We know he wasn't enough of that in Oklahoma City. Clearly wasn't enough of that in Brooklyn. Well, Shannon Sharp, I want to throw this out to you while Wendy is looking on. Shannon, did you know that since Kevin Durant said that about me, they were in the throes of a 7-game winning streak? Do you know what Kevin Durant's record is in Phoenix since that time? They are
what is
seven. They are 8-17. That is their record. They are 9 games under 500. Now, there were some games he missed, or there was games Bradley Beal missed, or there were games Devin Booker missed. They haven't been on the court together. But the reality is that when you look at them, they just don't have it. Why do they want Jimmy Butler so bad? Because they need a rough rider in that locker room, Wendy. Am I lying? Just nod your head, because you know I'm not. They need a rough rider. They need a Shannon Sharp type dude that's going to hold cats accountable. That's saying it's not just about my skills. It's not just about my greatness on the court. It's about me establishing a culture where we're committed to winning and making sure that we're exhausting every means and every measure to make sure we're maximizing our collective potential. That's not what's happening in Phoenix. And they're looking at owner. The owner ain't going to blame himself. You've got James Jones and those brothers. You know they know what they're doing in their front office. You know Mike Budenholzer knows what he's doing as a head coach. So what are we able to look at? We're able to look at 2 elements of the Phoenix Suns. Number one, they're soft. Nobody's scared of them. They believe that you can engage in physical play with them and you could submit them to some degree. That's number one. And number two, who's the culture changer? That's why they want Jimmy Butler so bad, which goes back to the point. Evidently, this clown has an idea of what he's talking about when he talks about lack of leadership.
So, as you see, when it comes to Bradley Beal, yes, he is, a bit of a different type of player in this Phoenix Suns team, but I don't feel that he has had the greatest opportunity when it comes to his play style matching what the Phoenix Suns has been able to give them. Now, Bradley Beal hasn't been playing the best, but I still do believe Bradley Beal has a lot left in him in order to be a great player, especially for another championship sort of team. And Golden State Warriors can definitely be that place. Now, Beal stands at 6'4", 207 pounds. He is 31 years of age, and so far this season, he has been averaging 17.8 points, 3.6 rebounds, and 3.2 assists. So he hasn't done really a poor job when it comes to this Phoenix Suns teams, but I do believe when it comes to Phoenix Suns, who went all in on Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, they definitely haven't been able to pursue a great sort of result from these 3 being together. So it does seem that the Phoenix Suns are frustrated and they definitely do want to move on. But when you look further, what you also do see is that Bradley Beal hasn't really been playing bad. He's been shooting 50% from the field and 39% from the 3-point line, which is really good as well. So he hasn't really had too much to really be disappointed about. But when it comes to Bradley Beal, he isn't really in his position. He has been moved to play that point guard position alongside Devin Booker, and Devin Booker isn't really a point guard as well. So they haven't really been given the best fit in order to really win. And I do believe when it comes to Bradley Beal, he does better as a 2 or maybe even a 3-man out there. And I think that can definitely change if he decides to move to a new team. So there definitely could be a 3-way trade in the books. Phoenix Suns have expressed interest in Jimmy Butler. So maybe Jimmy Butler can head to the Phoenix Suns. Warriors could get someone like Beal from the Suns and put him in a Warriors uniform. And then Miami Heat may get something from the Golden State Warriors in order to complete this 3-team trade. So the Golden State Warriors definitely have the right tools and assets in order to make a trade for someone like Bradley Beal. It is still up in the air whether, not just Warriors fans, but Warriors in general do want a player like Beal. I think he still has a lot of potential to be great. He may not need to be that player that drops 30, 32 points per game or anything of that nature. I think the Golden State Warriors just need that extra little bit of firepower on offense and defense, and I think Bradley Beal can definitely provide that, especially with the way he has been playing as of recent. So the Golden State Warriors could definitely get someone of Bradley Beal's caliber. They have tried time and time again to go for other players like Lauri Markkanen, like Cam Johnson. So there have been a lot of players in the mix. However, it does seem that when it comes to what they are offering, when it comes to an exchange for their players, whether it's Markkanen, Cameron Johnson, and also Cam Thomas together, I do believe when it comes to Bradley Beal, since Phoenix Suns are desperate to actually get rid of him, they could have a better deal on their hands, and Warriors could definitely win that trade. So this is something you would definitely keep an eye out, especially coming into the trade deadline, as I see a lot of value there for someone like Golden State Warriors to make this move and make it right.